Hello, 7th graders. Today's lesson is on finding the surface area of a cylinder. Now, reminder that the surface area is the area of all the surfaces. For a cylinder, this is going to include both the two circles for the bases and what's called the lateral surface, which is the surface around the cylinder. Now, the best way to think of this is to first think of a net. So in this investigate activity, we're going to draw a net. So if this is our cylinder, we have our two bases, and then we have the rectangle in the middle. Now, how the dimensions relate to each other, we know to find the area of a circle, we use the radius squared times pi. So the area of a circle is pi r squared. There are two circles, so we have to find that of both. Now, the cool thing about the dimensions of a cylinder is that this length of the rectangle is the same as the circumference of the circle. We know the circumference of a circle is pi times diameter. So pi times diameter is the length of the rectangle. And then to find the area of a rectangle, we do length times height. So the area of the rectangle is going to be pi times diameter, the length times the height. So for number 3, where it says write a formula that represents the surface area of a cylinder using height and radius, we know there are two circles, so we're going to have 2 pi r squared plus pi times diameter. Diameter is also twice the radius, right? So instead of writing diameter, I'm going to write 2r and then h for height. And we're going to skip number 4 for now. Okay, so here we see that formula again that we just made. The area, or the surface area of a cylinder, is going to be 2 times the area of the circles plus pi diameter times the height, which is that area of the rectangle. Okay, so for our first example, we're just going to practice finding the surface area of the cylinder, given what we know. Now we know r, radius, is 4. We know h, height, is 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug in 4 and 3 to our formula. So I have 2 times pi is 3.14 times r is 4. We're going to say 4 squared plus 2 times pi times radius times height. Okay, now I find this easiest to type into a calculator if we do it in sections. So I would first type this into a calculator and then type this chunk. And then we will add them together. You can do them all together in the calculator, but if you type one thing wrong, it's not going to measure it accurately. And it's easier to see what you typed when you do it in chunks. So we have 2 times 3.14 times 4 squared. That first number is 100.48. And then we have 2 times pi times 4 times 3, which is 75.36. And we're going to add those together, and we get 175.84. So the surface area of this cylinder is 175.84. When we do surface area, it's the same dimensions as area, so this would be millimeters squared. Area is squared. All right, I want you guys to pause the video, see if you can try these 2 at the bottom, and then play it back to see if you got it right. Okay, so this first one, we have 2 times 3.14 times r squared plus 2 times 3.14 times r times h. If we do these in separate chunks again, you have 226.08 339.12. If you add those together, you have 565.2 yards squared. All right, so the second one, we're again going to plug it into our formula. So I have 2 times pi times radius squared plus 2 times pi times radius times height. And if we do these in our separate chunks, we get 56.52, 339.12. If we add these together, we have 395.64 centimeters squared. All right, my next example is just finding the lateral surface area. Now, reminder, the lateral surface area is just the rectangle. So to find the lateral surface area, we don't find the circles, we just do the dimensions of that rectangle. So in this case, the circumference, or the length, times the height. So our first step would be to find the circumference, which is to do pi times diameter. So we have pi times diameter, and then we multiply that by the height. So type that into my calculator. 3.14 times 8 times 5 is 125.6. This is feet squared. So if a question is asking you just for the lateral surface area, that is only the rectangle. That is not the circles. All right, I want you to pause the video, see if you can find only the lateral surface area of these 2 cylinders at the bottom. Okay, so what's different about 3 is that this is the radius. You had to find the diameter, which is 6. So then you do pi times diameter times height, which is 75.36 centimeters squared. Okay, and then we do pi times diameter times height, which is again 75.36, this time yards squared. And those are the same because 4 times 6 is the same thing as 8 times 3. Okay, number 5 says explain the meaning of each term in the formula for the surface area cylinder. Well, we know pi is 3.14. We know r is the radius. And we know h is the height. Those are the 3 non-number things in the surface area cylinder. So r and h are our variables. R stands for radius, h stands for height. All right, last example, guys. It's a word problem. It says the can is made from aluminum that weighs 0.01 ounce per square inch. You receive 40 cents per pound of aluminum that you recycle. How much do you earn for recycling 24 cans? Okay, this is gonna be multiple steps. Our first step is to find the surface area, which will give us the square inches. Then we need to find how many pounds that is, knowing that there are 16 ounces in a pound. Then we need to find how much it costs. Okay, so first we're gonna find the surface area, plugging in what we know. I see that R is 1.5, and I see that H is 7. So I'm gonna go to my formula over here. I'm gonna write 2, oops, I want a smaller marker. Right, 2 times pi times 1.5 squared plus 2 times pi times r times h. Okay, so if I type that into my calculator, I get 80.07. This was inches squared. So my first conversion is that each square inch of aluminum is 0.01 ounces. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 80.07 times 0.01. Which is 0.8007. I'm going to drop all that and just say 0.8. Now this is ounces. And this is actually the ounce per can. Up here, I forgot to highlight the information. There are 24 cans. So we're going to take that 0.8 times 24. And this is 19.2 ounces total. So now I can convert that to pounds. To do that, we're going to do 19.2 divided by 16. And this is 1.2 pounds. So then it says you receive 40 cents per pound. So now we're going to take 40 cents times 1.2 pounds, which is 48 cents. So you would earn 48 cents for recycling 24 cans. All right, so I'm going to have you guys skip this one at the bottom. Make sure you submit the 10.2 notes to today's assignment and check Canvas for whatever else you have to do today.